Hi guys, it's Steve here. I'm joined today by Steve Wayne from Benjamin Stevens Estate Agencies. They're based up in Edgware and Harrow and in Luton. Steve, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming on today.
My pleasure. How you keeping? All right?
Yeah, very well, very well. Just wanted to have a quick chat with you. Obviously, we're fairly heavily involved with you on the recruitment side of our business, but I wanted to talk to you more a little bit about Benjamin Stevens itself, how it sort of came about, and what made you take the decision or the transition, if you like, from traditional high street agency, which I know you've still got, but you're very big into the associate model now. When did Benjamin Stevens start? When did you sort of like take it on, and when did you decide to make the move in relation to the self-employed model?
All right, so we've been in business now shy on 18 years. So I was 22 when we opened. Not sure if that math works. I'm almost 40. But the world's changed, and the obsession of having a high street office on every single corner is just not necessary anymore. And for me, we looked at the self-employed model maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And we launched now almost 3 years ago with the self-employed model. And it just gives us, it's very much a win-win. It gives us an opportunity to expand our business, our portfolio, and what we can offer our clients. And it gives people the opportunity of coming into quite a established brand to really build their own businesses within our business. When someone joins us sort of day one, everything's sort of set up and already, and all the infrastructure, which probably took me 7 or 8 years to get everything spot on, sort of they can get going from day one.
Sure. Okay, and I mean there are obviously a number of people, a number of businesses doing something similar. I think yours is probably one of the few that have had traditional high street offices and has sort of branched out. Most of the new kids on the block, if you like, are businesses that have come along and said, right, this is our model, this is how it's going to work. Do you still feel that there's the space for the traditional high street agents?
100%. People still like walking into an office. People still need something to trust. And I think when you've got an office, you can't hide and run away from someone, especially on the lettings, when you're looking after 200, 300, 400,000 pounds of someone's money. People like to know that they can walk in and they can find you. I don't think you need an office on every high street like you need to, but even for us now, if an office came up in the right location where I felt it was an area we could really click into, we'd still open more high street offices. We're very much, if it fits, we'll do it. I definitely don't think the high street model is dead. I think it's there for the right type of people. Not everyone has the ambition to go and be their own boss.
It's quite refreshing, actually, isn't it? Because you talk to a lot of people, and they're very much the self-employed model is the way to go. And you talk to other people who have obviously had traditional agency for some time. Remember, we were on a webinar 12 months ago, weren't we, discussing this? And the people that have got estate agency offices are fairly vociferous that they think, they think that that's the way to go. And the people, the likes of the Kellers and the EXPs and these sort of people, that know, you've got to go down the associate route. It's refreshing actually to speak to someone who thinks that, there is plenty of room for both, and also to have a little bit of a sort of hybrid, a mix. It's nice that people can see that you've got a presence, that you've got an office, and as you say, there's someone who can, there's a door to knock on if they need to speak to you. Does going down the associate route, and I know the answer to this, but for those people out there, what sort of challenges does it? What challenges does it present a business like yours?
Look, the problem with any place where someone's self-employed is they think they can do what they want. We've spent just shy of 18 years building up a reputation and building up a brand. Yeah. And I think for me, the biggest worry was always, are they going to tarnish my brand? But over the time, we've had to, change our model and change the way we've worked, and made sure that even if people aren't doing 500 grand of business a year, that they're doing things in the correct way, making sure that they've got the brand's interest in heart, because actually they're not just building my business, they're building their own business. And if they behave like a shark, it's only actually going to come back and bite them.
Sure.
Use the pun.
Yeah. Have you got, yeah, so do you have processes in place to monitor, your people and,
Yeah, so
we know they're properly vetted, obviously, when they're coming, vetted probably not being the right word, but, you do your due diligence when you're engaging these guys.
you say that we had a guy who worked for us and been an agent for 8 years, and the basics of basics he didn't know, because at his company he only did that one job and that one role. And even if you look at some of the big companies, like for a Foxtons, for example, a negotiator just negotiates, a valuer just values, a sales chaser does that. For my main business, we're very much a 360 where everyone knows how to do everything. But there are a lot of estate agents who only know how to do one thing. And I think a lot of estate agents who come into the self-employed model are shocked by how much there actually is from beginning to end.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a particular type of person that suits the associate model? Do you think you've got to be a certain ilk?
Not necessarily. I think, you've got to, you've got to be fearless. You've got to not be afraid to go and do the videos and putting yourself out there on social media. And, most agents don't door knock. They don't proactively get business. My guys downstairs get 25, 30 valuations a week without doing anything. The brand is strong enough that it does it for them. But what happens with a lot of people in the self-employed model, they have a really good month and then they think this is easy, and then they stop grafting, stop working. I think probably the one most important thing is you've got to be in the right financial situation to do it. If you come into the self-employed model, and I've had people who after a week are like, this isn't working. I was like, well, give it a chance. It's a week. She's like, I've got no money. I'm like, well, you shouldn't be doing this if you haven't got the money to do it. The reality is the self-employed model is still at a very early stage. It's going to be another 3 or 4 years before it really takes off. But you can't just come and do this with a couple of grand in the bank. You've got to work on. It's going to take 6 months before you start seeing money, and probably a year before you start seeing great money. So you can't come into this and just be on edge, because what you'll do is you'll try and put through bad deals, and we all know try and put through a bad deal, it's just a disaster. I think Tom Hanna calls it commission breath. It's one of my favorite lines. You can't have that. You've got to be relaxed. You've got to have a process, have a plan, and whatever's going on, you've got to keep following that plan day in, day out.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, to add to what you say, I think in regards to the type of person you need is someone. They need to be very, very self-motivated. They need to have drive. They need to have ambition, but also as well, they need to have a clear path for the first 3, 6, 12 months, 24 months. It's okay saying, right, yeah, I want to earn 250 grand a year, or I want to bank 250 grand a year. But you need a roadmap, don't you, as to how you're going to get there. And obviously, working with a business like yours gives them that sort of guidance, gives them the help, gives them the support, the backing that they need. Yeah.
Yeah, look, 100%. You need those points of drive and determination. But I think you've got to have the energy and the passion, and you just can't you've got to have that support system around you that if you're having a bad week, you're going to believe you're going to get through it. If you do the right things day in, day out, the right things will follow.
Yeah.
One of the things which I find crazy is I'm here on the end of the phone to anyone when they need it. And I phone people and I say, to people, how can I help? And they're just like, I'm fine.
Yeah. So it's basically, there needs to be a dialogue on a regular basis. People need to ask for that support as well. I don't think it's just the support being there.
And I think people need to be, they need to be held themselves accountable, but they need to know what accountability looks like. I think, you speak to some people, I'm going to do 10 deals in a month. That's great. Why don't you worry about doing 2 first before you worry about doing 10? And I think people just need to be realistic. I think a lot of people, and I've seen this a lot of times, that people think they'll just start doing this and people will flock to them. If I went and opened across the road, that may happen. I've been doing this for 18 years. We're market leaders where we are. But most people aren't at that level who are going to be doing the self-employed model, because they would have just gone and opened their own business years ago. And I think people really need to realise that they've got to graft, and they've got to, get out there and network and send messages on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and just put themselves out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, 10 minutes have gone by very quickly. Thanks for that, Steve. Appreciate your time. Good luck with the business. I know that you're recruiting very, very heavily. Obviously, we're involved in helping you with that, and we look forward to our ongoing relationship. Thanks very much for your time today, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
Cheers.